trigger happy and I give less than a fuck. Love me or hate me, I'ma show enough, rip shit up. It's Mr. Nothing, nice on a mic stand. Mic in the left and the zest in my right hand. I took a puff, had enough now, hold up. If that was Indo, niggas getting rolled up. Yo.
What's going on, folks? This is Acid Root. So I'm going to review b.LaY's debut mixtape, basically, Initiation 1. Now, this mixtape's a little bit tricky to find. It's really only available through b.LaY's website, and even then it's kind of blocked off to make it really difficult to kind of find even through that format. So there's going to be a link in the description to where you can finally snatch up this mixtape if you're like me and other folks who might have wondered across the years if you've heard Initiation 2 and you're like, well, where the fuck's Initiation 1? Now, there was a lot of kind of questions I had about this project just because it seemed like Initiation 1 was around back in the days when he was affiliated with Deuce and 9 Lives and Truth and those type cats, the spring and summer of 2012, back when Deuce was really cresting off of his solo career. But the thing about it is it is in the same vein as some of that stuff, but it really kind of isn't at the same time. So if you're looking for like Deuce's rock rap, kind of hook-friendly radio numbers that he put all over 9 Lives in his mixtape before that, Call Me Big Deuce, there's really nothing like that. And on top of that, there's no 9 Lives rappers whatsoever on this project. I mean, there is one brief song where you even remotely know that b.LaY is affiliated with 9 Lives, and it's just the song 9 Lives. But apart from that, this is basically just a substandard rap mixtape kind of from California and just a real low-key kind of effort in that vibe. Deuce does not have his hands on this project at all, basically. I would have to say minus he's not mentioned on this album. 9 Lives as a group, for the most part, from what I heard, wasn't mentioned. And it's just a very, I mean, it has the concept of being something that Deuce could have brought to you, but it really has no affiliation with him whatsoever. And I would have loved for him to have been on there at least 2 or 3 times, something like that. I'm just going to go ahead and get this out of the way. Deuce would have been a brilliant kind of guest to have been on here. Definitely could have provided like a good hook. You know, Deuce is great with hooks, so that would have been great. Truth could have been on here, especially in 2012. I know Truth wouldn't have been that difficult to nab just because, I mean, he did get arrested in the summer of 2012, but I really have no clue as to when this project dropped. I know it came out somewhere in 2012, but I'm not specifically sure when. So that's just kind of the concept. But Truth should have definitely been on here, and other 9 Lives rappers like Deuce's sister and Gadget and some of those folks probably could have been on here and a whole bunch of things. But for what it is, that doesn't detract from the quality. I mean, this is a beefed up 20-song mixtape plus 5 skits, so it's really 25 songs. Basically like a double album if it were, just because most, you know, projects only have about 12 to 15 songs, but this is really packed to the gills. And I definitely would have to say that I appreciated the vibes that I got from it in a slight sense. I mean, I wouldn't say it's a classic mixtape, but it's better than average. And I definitely feel like there's a particular shining point that b.LaY has on this project that really makes him stand out even further. And I'll go ahead and talk about that, because there's not really singles on this project, it didn't seem like. So one thing that b.LaY attempts to do on this project is freestyle the other rappers' beats, like Drake's Headlines and Lil Wayne's Bill Gates, Rihanna's Fire Flame. There's 4 freestyles on here, but the thing about it is b.LaY's beats on his low-key, probably 2,000 downloads mixtape is better than any of the freestyles that he does. I feel like there's a lot of beats on here that are better than Headlines by Drake, that despite the fact that Headlines charted at like number 9 on the Billboard 100 back in 2011. And that says something. I wasn't really ever a fan of like Bill Gates from Lil Wayne's I'm Not a Human Being. I felt like there were better songs on that project. But that's kind of a plotting beat also. I didn't really have appreciation for that. And then Fire Flame was awkward, and then the You Be Killing Them freestyle. I mean, none of those really hit home at all. I mean, I would like the concept of being able to see b.LaY as a freestyle rapper, but I don't know if it was just his beat taste or it was just the fact that that was the music that was hot around that time. But either way, it was not very interesting listens. I didn't care for any of the freestyles, and I felt like there could have been better production around that time. I mean, really, me trying to think of some records that came out in late 2011 and early 2012. I mean, there's plenty of situations you could probably find for that, but suffice to say, the batch that he tried to pick on this project were very bland and uninteresting. But I did like the Nine Lives song. I definitely like seeing his affiliation with Nine Lives. I wish that would have been showcased way more. I also like the fact that he secured a Bizarre of D12 verse on Love Me Now. That was a really good get up and get it kind of hustle song. Wasn't overly preachy, wasn't kind of unctuous and kind of a little bit too, like teacher's pet kind of vibes. I just kind of like that sort of hustle song the way he did it, basically saying you don't have to love me now. I don't care either way, and that was pretty badass the way that happened. Until I Fall was a great kind of. I mean, some of these songs kind of just feel like a different kind of vibe. I mean, I would have to say that Until I Fall kind of reminded me of a song that I would walk home to. Like if you have like a bar that's nearby and you're walking home and you're kind of sauced or you're walking home from your girlfriend's house, something like that. Not necessarily driving home, but just kind of walking home, something like that. I felt like Until I Fall was one of those type beats. I mean, there's definitely car songs on here. Like I feel like I want to say Cali Made was a great hotboxing song for a car. And then also, You Know What I Mean was another great car song and just kind of cruising around. But it's just interesting because I don't hear too many songs about just kind of walking at night, kind of cruising, walking, well, not cruising, but walking home type stuff after having a riveting night. It's interesting to kind of get that. California probably had a lot of walkers also. So that's just, I mean, lots of places do, but it's just interesting kind of get that vibe. It was new, just not hearing that sort of context as much. And I like b.LaY. I don't like the song title for that song, but it has a really great club beat on here, and it really kind of feels it's pretty much one of the best beats on this whole project. Just instantly kind of outgoing, smoke ready, that type stuff. But there's just a number of hits on here. I felt like One Chance, that one was kind of like a nice night vibe that I got for it. I really liked the sparkly keys on One Chance. That was definitely a nice moment, and this felt kind of haunting in a good way. Just kind of something that it just feels like a backyard kind of smoke session kind of vibe from it. And there's just tons of moments, or maybe not tons, there's a good chunk of moments for 20 songs. The fact that more than 6 or 7 of them kind of have some good moments at least denotes the fact that it's worth the download. But I do have to say it's kind of a disappointment that there wasn't a music video. I mean, Initiation 2 had 2 music videos and at least tried to attempt the singles, but this was just kind of a very low-key, basic, just very basic kind of project. Now, I definitely think that Nine Lives could have been a single, and then they should have put like Truth or Deuce on there and got pumped out another one. That he really should have taken advantage of Deuce's affiliation. But there are good, like I described earlier, there are some good moments. But to talk about some of the moments I didn't like, I kind of feel like I already talked about the freestyles, but there's a really kind of bad batch of songs for the ladies. I mean, I felt like some of these like attempted electronic and the chirps and synths and the electronic and Never Felt This Way are pretty bad. They just don't mesh well, and they're just bad arrangements. Wasted Love was not that tangible. I mean, a lot of these just, could have been way better. I mean, maybe not so much the hook as much as like the melodies in the hook. Like I like the idea of the singing in like Wasted Love, but most of these kind of just pass off as just it doesn't really strike me as b.LaY's kind of vibe quite yet. I mean, I like the attempt in trying to see some of them, but it's really the execution is basically like C minus range, where it's kind of really kind of lukewarm and mediocre R&B that just doesn't work quite as well. Really kind of tepid kind of vibes there. The arrangements really just were way too messy and kind of not synchronized and just blah, so also I would have to say there's a couple ugly beats on here. Like I felt like Clean Swag pretty much had the worst beat on the whole album, and Khalifa was pretty bad with Bobby Falcon. Some of those were both basically pretty bad. I couldn't get into the vibe of Taken by Force because I couldn't think of the correct mood where I would listen to that song. It kind of felt like a more uppity kind of song, like One Chance, but it was just a worse rendition of it. I liked that it kind of had like a rock tinge, but it wasn't enough to save the song. So that's just kind of the concept there. There were some, I mean, really, when you take the 4 freestyles away from the project that I already described that I didn't like, that's 4 out of 20 I didn't like, which is a fifth of the project. And then talking about the 3 ladies songs that were subpar, that's another 7. And then the 3 songs I described, which is 10th, that's basically about half the project there, just talking about that. So there's just, a lot of plotting moments. I mean, if he would have freestyled to some beats that would have actually been interesting, I probably would have taken those because I like when Lil Wayne does that sort of thing, but it really did not have like the proper concoction there, and it was like, and plenty of moments like that. But so yeah, I'll go ahead and list the 8 songs out of 20 I recommend to you. I guess I didn't make a notepad for this record this time, so I'm just gonna have to do it from the computer. So the 8 songs I recommend to you out of 20 are 9 Lives, Until I Fall, Love Me Now with Bizarre, Cali Made, Cali Ho, You Know What I Mean, b.LaY, and One Chance. So that's those are all the ones. I'll talk about these a little bit more just to kind of describe them. I feel like 9 Lives was the single, nice good club track. I feel like You Know What I Mean is another great club track and hotboxing song for the car. Just real kind of nice mixtape circa 2012 type feel. When you were smoking in your whip with your buddies, that type stuff. b.LaY is kind of like a really great club song, has one of the best beats on here, just a real kind of hypnotic one. One Chance kind of felt like a night kind of just gathering type song, this kind of backyard kind of smoking, congregating type vibe. Cali Ho was kind of like Cali Ho kind of reminded me of more of like a smoke session kind of song, light club sense also. That one's kind of like a mixtape number, nice good mixtape number. And Cali Made was like a hot boxing type song. Love Me Now is like a get up and get it type song. And then Until I Fall felt like a nice kind of walking at night, just getting home from some event type vibe, just kind of more to yourself and maybe like smoking a blunt, walking up the street type stuff. That's the kind of vibes I got from that. But good stuff. Walking home from Taco Bell, that type stuff. Just overall good moments. So, I'm going to give this record, me liking 8 out of 20. I'm going to give this record a 4.5 out of 10. It's great. It's pretty solid for what it is. I mean, it's difficult just because mixtapes are free, so artists a lot of times don't feel as inclined to pack it to the gills with classics. But when you get like 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 good songs out of 20 on there, that's basically 9 free songs that you grabbed that you don't have to worry about paying money for. So that's kind of the concept, is just being able to say that that's actually a pretty good deal as a mixtape. That's a 4.5, almost a 5 out of 10. If it just would have had a couple more songs, it'd be about middle of the road in terms of how many hits are on there. But yeah, like I said, 8 free songs that kick ass. I described them to you as the why they kick ass. That's actually a pretty good bargain. 8 free songs that are pretty affiliated. b.LaY's a pretty solid musician and can do that sort of thing, and he has personality, and he has the ability to make good songs and kind of have like the vibes as far as, I mean, he's a good mixtape rapper. I mean, this is the second time now both Initiation 1 and 2 have the personality to do it, and he has song topics and variety as far as that's concerned. I wish that there would have been more guests on here. Bizarre of D12 was like, minus this Bobby Falcon Cat, and maybe like a couple other low-key dudes that don't really have much celebrity to them. I would say Bizarre is about the most noteworthy feature on here. I really could have used, I just have to consistently continue to say Deuce should have been on here, and Truth probably should have been on here. Someone from 9 Lives and that type stuff. But for what it is, b.LaY did a pretty solid job of creating like a rap rendition of what 9 Lives was or creating like a solid rendition of what Nine Lives, the culture was about back in 2012 and stuff. So it's definitely good to see that. The social score is difficult. I mean, it has some bops on here. I definitely would have to give it like a 4 or a 5 out of 10 social. I mean, if you've heard of b.LaY, you might be right up your alley. But if you haven't, I would definitely check it out anyways, just because it's got some good moments and not lots of good social moments to kind of smoke and hotbox to and bop to and that type stuff. Just good. I mean, there's not quite as many dance club and rave type moments, but there are a few club moments if you're looking hard enough for them. So some good social outings. And b.LaY, I mean, apparently b.LaY has put out other projects across the years, but they're not. I don't know if they're free or what the deal with it is. There's like supposedly another initiation type project that's called, it's something like that, some pun on initiation, but I at least feel like two good mixtapes from b.LaY results in this, and the link will be in the description as to how you can download this for yourself, so that way you don't have to wonder about this music that you may never find. So that'll be taken care of. So thank me later.